One of the largest gold discoveries in the history of the Bering Sea was just made by Emily Riedel. $35 million is thought to be concealed in an unexplored vein. Emily and her crew were at the heart of every discussion regarding high-stakes deep-sea mining after the discovery, which sent shockwaves through the mining sector. The breakthrough was the result of months of meticulous preparation, focused dredging, and accurate mapping. Emily's meticulous technique to finding gold-rich spots was pivotal. In contrast to most strikes that depend on luck, her crew faced mechanical difficulties, erratic currents, and frigid weather. But in the end, their perseverance paid off. Investors, competing teams, and industry analysts are already taking notice of the discovery, referring to it as one of the most important hauls in recent history. Glistening gold was found in every ton of dredged ore, surpassing expectations and validating preliminary estimations. This is more than simply another discovery for Emily Riedel. It's a significant event. Her strategy is being researched, analyzed, and praised. After $35 million worth of gold was discovered, establishing a new benchmark for deep-sea mining operations in the Bering Sea and elsewhere. If you're prepared to see the Bering Sea reveal secrets it was never supposed to reveal, hit the like and subscribe buttons. For those who dare to seek riches across its ice waves, the Bering Sea has always been cruel, frigid, unexpected, and brutal. Nome itself is now in danger of collapsing. Even the largest companies are being crushed by expenses and expired permits. And around the port, dredges that were once full of optimism sit rusting. Investors have already left, calling the area a mindless graveyard of dashed hopes. For most, Nome's narrative is over, but it's just the beginning for Emily Riedel. She is trapped between legend and bankruptcy and is under an intolerable amount of strain. Her legacy, her team, and her career will all perish if she is unable to find something exceptional. She decides as a result. One final journey, one more chance to win. Either make a world-shocking discovery or become just another failed dredger and disappear into history. At that point, she comes into possession of a discovery, far more bizarre than a heap of gold dust. Emily finds a set of charts in an 1852 sealed Russian maritime archive that shouldn't be in any other collection. An imperial seal and an edict from Tsar himself, off-limits to all vessels, are placed next to the fading parchment, which describes ancient metals buried deep beneath the Bering currents. The location is clearly noted with coordinates. The waterways are off-limits, and the rhetoric is caustic. Most people would dismiss it as folklore, the sort of tale about the sea curse that elderly sailors share when their whiskey runs too high. The seasoned captains of Nome are quick to laugh. Ships launched there never came back, they whisper. Compasses malfunction. Calm skies give way to storms. Divers also disappear completely. Everybody is familiar with the tales. The cautions are well known. But not everyone is Emily. She is motivated by a force greater than fear. Her crew sets course for the illegal coordinates when she says, "If there's gold there, we'll be the first to touch it." She is looking directly into the camera, as though sensing what they are pursuing. The ocean surrounding them becomes agitated. Sonar scans pierce the seabed's layers in search of anything that could support or refute the Russian data. Hours go by. The tension increases. Then the crew as a whole falls silent as the screens flicker with an outline so huge and unexpected. The distinctive shape of a ship is buried in silt and frozen by centuries of permafrost. The darkness below is illuminated by the floodlights of the divers. As they suit up, they discover more than just wreckage, too. The bark is Russian. In ice, its hull was unnaturally maintained. Where the timbers should have decayed to nothing, they were still intact. As they press farther, the air is electrified. Broken cargo crates that leak bits of ore that sparkle even through the muck are scattered throughout the seafloor. Gold, heavy, thick, throughout the seafloor. Gold, heavy, thick ore that is distinctly rich, rather as the little flecks gnomes that dredgers typically scrape up, evidence that the legends were more than just myths. Before their empire shut everything down, the Russians had been mining this seafloor and transporting gold back across the Atlantic. Morale among the crew soars. More than Nome has seen in a century is waiting if the Russians were able to extract gold from these waterways. Emily feels optimism rising for the first time in months, not as a flicker, but as a raging fire. She realizes the reality as she looks at the containers, the ghostly hull, and the signs of lost money. This vein isn't arbitrary. It's not natural. It was no accident that the Russians discovered gold. They located it. They made it work. Then they hit it. The vein is authentic. It's an actual chamber. And now, more than anyone else alive, Emily Riedel is on the verge of unlocking it for the first time in generations. Bering's shadows are not limited to the sea. They are also on the surface. Another dredge starts to circle the horizon, keeping its distance but never departing. As soon as news of the Russian catastrophe spreads, the team recognizes the profile and watches it uneasily. A competing captain who has a track record of snooping on allegations that others are desperate to uncover. Initially, it's just gifts, but soon drones fly low over the lake, skimming Emily's operation with their screeching rotors. They keep coming back, pointing their lenses at the deck and the coordinates, while the crew jumps into action and chases them away. Every action is being observed by someone who is determined to take what has been discovered. The static crackle of radio talk gets louder as night falls. Emily's team's technician deciphers the encryption and extracts snippets of dialogue amongst gnome-based investors. This isn't fisherman rumors. Discussing Emily's team as though they were pieces on a board is a targeted and precise tactic. She's located the room. Secure the data. Secure the claim. All of a sudden, geology is no longer relevant in the pursuit of gold. The battle is between corporations. Listening, Emily's face tightens as she realizes she's up against more than just the waves. She is up against forces who have more money, more savage claws, and no qualms about stealing. In order to defend their vision, the crew doubles down. There are guards on duty. The night is filled with lights, but the sea itself appears uneasy, as if alerting them to impending danger. To do additional seabed scans, divers descend. At that point, something completely inexplicable starts. A faint sound, akin to the distant hum of a machine, emerges from the rock's cracks. This tremor is not typical of a machine. It is a continuous, mechanical humming that feels alive as it reverberates through their suits and crawls up the spine. Frequencies that have no natural explanation are recorded by instruments that spike. One diver murmurs over comms, half joking, but with a quiver in his tone. It's the sea singing. They have the same expression when they emerge, soaked and trembling. They didn't imagine the sound. Though her crew is shaken, Emily records every detail. The story is told to an elderly Inupiat fisherman at the dock, who alerts them to an old belief. There is no celebration while the sea sings. It's a warning. Before breaking, the ice moans. According to him, the gold hums before it buries you. The villagers interpret the sound as a final warning before calamity and an omen of collapse. Half the crew is frightened and insists that they slow down, retreat, and reconsider. Emily, however, declines. Her resolve only gets stronger. The hum is not a curse to her. It is evidence. Something metallic echoing under pressure in a hollow chamber. Gold is honest. Additionally, if the sea is vibrating, it indicates that they are closer than anyone has ever been. The squad was divided by disagreements. There are rumors that they may decide to leave the expedition, pay out what little they have retrieved so far. The prospect of a prize beyond anything Gnome has ever seen has others unable to look away. Emily's voice has a steeliness that breaks through the separation. A miracle is what we came for. It's this. No one leaves. Her words, laden with the weight of decision, linger in the briny air. For now, loyalty is maintained. The dredge roars with unrelenting intensity as excavation resumes. Black mud and rock fragments are churned into the sloughs by the pressure of their drills and pumps, which causes the bottom to groan. Then it occurs. Incredulous, a diver scrapes away at a wall of compacted silt radios. This place is sparkling. As cameras turn on and the image shows up on deck monitors, the transmission crackles. The diver has not found any flakes scattered about. No quick flash of color, even in the artificial light beam. The golden veins that run across the monolith's vertical slab shine. The crew erupts in a frenzy, crowding the monitors and shouting over each other. Beyond the lights of the divers, the wall extends, or embedded like lightning in stone for hundreds of feet. It's more than just gold dust. This is a structure, a wall, something huge and unaltered. The weight of the samples is astonishing as they are hurried to the surface. Nothing that has been dug from Gnome in decades is as clean and rich as each rock and fragment. As computations get more complex, the crew's geologists run the numbers and shake their heads in shock. At least 35 million. And that's just the vein's apparent length. The deck is electric for a second. Euphoria turns into disbelief. Emily Riedel is looking at a finding that could completely change the Bering Sea's history. After years of hardship, debt, uncertainty, and derision, she names it with silent wonder as she puts her hand on a slab chunk that is strewn with yellow flames while cameras roll. The Wall of Gold. The team gets chills from the words. The moniker is appropriate. It's more than just a vein. It's not only ore, it is a monument, a stronghold of riches concealed for generations under the suffocating shadows. But something else beats beneath the excitement. A tacit admission that nothing this precious is left unprotected. Competitors are circling. The sea is singing, and the warnings get louder the deeper they go. Emily doesn't flinch, though. The Golden Wall is more than just a discovery to her. She refuses to let anything, not even the Bering itself, take away her calling, not even rivals or fear. Emily's crew stared at the impossibility while the noise of motors screamed over the sea. Above their dredge, a matte black chopper circled. The soldiers inside had guns draped over their shoulders, but its windows were darkened and its insignia washed away. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen in Nome. When Emily reached for the radio and demanded identification, only static responded. Then, in a low, purposeful voice, "You won't survive if you don't leave." The team looked at each other uneasily as they froze. It wasn't a bluff. For months, offshore investors had been scouting her business, eager to take advantage of any secrets she might have discovered. It was obvious now. They would not allow her to preserve the Golden Wall since they were aware of it. Without a single shot being fired, the sea turned into a war. The margins of Emily's claim were patrolled by rival dredges, whose lights moved across the water like creatures pursuing their prey. She was reminded that Nome was no longer just Nome, by the corporate-backed boats that hovered over the horizon, too far away to read names. It has turned into a front in the world's gold war. As the threat approached, crew morale deteriorated. There were rumors about making a deal. Sell coordinates. Sell samples. Before violence broke out, sell something. Others supported Emily, steadfast in their devotion and unwilling to compromise at any cost. "We found it together," Emily said to the cameras as she grasped the ship's rail. Even as her words inspired some of the crew, the sea started to whisper other secrets. During late-night scan, divers probed behind the Golden Wall and found that the founders were too clean and linear, not natural cracks, but tunnels, perfectly straight shafts that ran deep into the seabed and were concealed for centuries by silt and salt. When the divers surfaced, they spoke in trembling voices about carvings, strange etched symbols along the stone, smooth yet visible, illuminated by their lights, as though they'd been waiting to be rediscovered. Emily recalled the Russian archive, the Tsarist warnings, the mention of unearthly metals. The sonar painted images of vast passageways that no geology textbook could explain. Nome was no longer just a mine. Had miners been here before? Had a previous expedition carved out chambers, hidden veins, and then sealed them away? Rumors of Russian barks enslaving prisoners to dig beneath the sea started to swirl in her mind. The fissurers looked more like architecture than geology, with gold veins sculpted into vaults that resembled cathedrals. It was an archaeological site, possibly even a tomb. Some team members were excited. If they weren't only pursuing nature, and they had discovered the remains of an old operation, then this was more than simply luck, it was history. As Emily muttered, "This isn't a vein," cameras rolled. "This is a monument." But fear persisted despite awe. Fear and greed pressed closer together until they were indistinguishable. And for every crew member who gaped at the idea of old cathedrals, another whispered about curses, about Russians gone mad, about tunnels that sang before they collapsed. The pressure shattered loyalty, and factions formed overnight. With each tide, tensions increased, food disappeared, tools were sabotaged, and a few deckhands started exchanging notes, organizing whispers, and talking about offers from rival dredges who promised cash up front for even partial coordinates. Other deckhands supported Emily, defending her vision of safeguarding the find until it could be properly mined. Every shadow turned into a suspect, every cough into a betrayal. And Emily caught her first mate in the middle of a heated radio conversation, encrypted chatter, half-spoken coordinates before the channel cut and ripped the radio from his hand, sending sparks of rage igniting across the deck as cameras recorded every word. she spat, her voice trembling with betrayal. "You sold us out, and he retaliated with just as much hatred. We will be killed by you. You believe that loyalty alone will be enough to defeat companies, helicopters, and curses? We must leave. We must have cash on hand, prior to it being too late." The dispute descended into anarchy. Like wolves, the team circled. While some shouted in support of Emily, others were on his side. There was no fist fight or knife fight. It encircled every soul on board with its claws of hunger, fear, and gold fever. The golden wall, a shining slab of luck ready to be reaped, silently loomed underneath them through it all. However, the underlying reality was evident. The riches was not limited to the ocean. It had already surfaced and become ingrained in the crew's hearts, transforming friendship into rivalry and loyalty into suspicion. Neither economics nor nature were causing Nome to collapse. It was falling apart within. Knowing that there was more danger than corporate helicopters and Russian obscenities, Emily stood at the helm, gazing at her broken family. Her own team, possessed by the glint of gold they had only begun to touch, was the real threat. Before dawn, the dredge rumbles through the icy waters, its steel hull moaning as conveyors scrape the seafloor and pumps roar. With sloughs overflowing and debris churning into foamy white waves, Emily's crew works as a single organism, lifting ton after ton of golden ore from the Bering Sea. As dazzling flecks shine gold beneath harsh floodlights, cries of excitement are triggered with each pail of mud poured onto the sorting deck. They are running out of time. The currents fluctuate wildly. Rival dredges cruise the outside of visibility like predators waiting for the smallest slip-up, and storms can rise in a matter of minutes. The threat increases at night. In the dark, figures move along the docks, trying to tamper with pumps, untie anchors, or disrupt lines. Drones whir overhead, searching, recording, and cataloging with their optics. A diver nearly loses his life when a hose suddenly breaks, sending him into the freezing water with a jolt that might take his breath away. He scurries back, shivering and coughing. The reminder that this operation is about more than simply gold had the crew's adrenaline pumping. Is a matter of survival. It's like walking a tightrope every hour. Under the weight of ore slabs and deposits that date back hundreds of years, machines creak and whine. Every piece tore from the icy ocean floor. The full extent of the golden wall has started to emerge. Hundreds of feet long and incredibly thick, panels of gold-streaked rock sparkle in the divers' lights and are brilliant in the shadows below. However, the ocean fights back more the deeper they go. Unknown fissures see an increase in pressure. Abruptly, the currents change, pulling on the hull and tearing at the ropes. The dredge is then shaken from stem to stern by a rumble that sounds like distant thunder. Alarms flare from sensors. A spooky silence descends, as though the sea is holding its breath. After lights strobe across the deck, a portion of the cavern wall behind the golden wall suddenly crumbles. The group is frozen in fear as water bursts violently into the excavation zone. Pumps, sloughs, and cranes are consumed as debris, mud, rock, and shattered apparatus tumble into the whirling currents. Crates filled with gold are carried away and plunge into the abyss, where they are engulfed by silt and darkness. The unexpected flood causes the dredge to close. Steel moans in disapproval. Emily precisely cuts through the confusion by yelling commands. Divers rush, emergency releases are activated, and levers are thrown. As ice water pours across the deck, crew members stumble and manage to catch themselves barely in time, their hearts racing. It briefly seemed as though everything would be lost to the water. It does, in fact. After millennia of freezing currents, a portion of the golden wall vanishes permanently beneath the sediment. Nevertheless, victory endures despite the devastation. The crew has gathered enough ore to validate a valuation of an incredible $35 million. The partially claimed wall serves as evidence of the sea's unwavering will and victory. Despite the pressure of tiredness, there is no repose. Word gets around more quickly than waves can break, causing a frenzy. Live feeds of golden slabs shining under floodlights are used by media outlets to break the story. The unrelenting operation was captured by drones, and Emily herself was seen controlling the dredge with unwavering determination. Headlines go viral. Emily Riedel discovers the secret treasure of Bering Sea. Off Nome Coast, the lost wall of gold was discovered. Historians, investors, and treasure seekers get together with their own queries, estimates, and plans. Once a sleepy mining community, Nome suddenly becomes the center of frantic conjecture. From dockside to tavern, rumors of what else may be beneath the water spread, stoking desperation, envy, and obsession. Some people laud Emily as a living example of a pioneer who is skillfully and bravely rewriting history. Others witness a lady who is brave or stupid enough to entice powers that have been dormant for ages, or thievery from the sea's ancient guardians. Even if the abrupt fall largely destroys the Golden Wall, it becomes more than just a source of wealth. It turns into a symbol, a lighthouse of human boldness, and a magnet for rumors and legends. Ancient tunnels that can be seen in the sonar data suggest unexplored rooms. Straight hallways and submerged sculptures conjure the echoes of miners who may have been compelled to work under imperial control, securing treasures that were not intended for common hands. Weary yet excited, Emily's staff records each piece found and secures it with respect and pragmatism. Every slab is labeled, every crate is locked, and every sample is weighed. Every action serves as a defense against thievery, mishaps, and overzealous ambition. It simmers with tension. Millions of dollars or worse could be lost with one poor decision. Emily's aware that the danger is far from ended because the Bering Sea has shown that every reward comes with a cost. Finally, in the midst of the confusion, Emily gives herself a break. Her clothes and hair are being whipped by the wind as she stands on the dredge's upper deck, sunshine reflecting off the golden pieces piled below. The group around her is now working quietly and intently, their fatigue mixed with wonder. As the waves rise and fall across the bleak expanse, she is reminded that the sea is a constant source of giving and taking. Her steady, low voice reverberates throughout the deck. Without taking it back, the Bering never gives. It's not an alert, it's a proclamation. History is written in that moment. Emily Riedel isn't a child anymore. She's a living example of bravery, shrewdness, and unwavering resolve. Though half buried and partially claimed, the Golden Wall will always be remembered, a tribute to human courage, the sea's unrelenting force, and the tale that will reverberate for generations to come, via Nome, the Bering, and the history of the gold rush.